Catherine, you can take off your slides now. Hello, hello, hello. Good evening and welcome to the Leadership Platform. It is 19 hours GMT, 18 hours UK, and 21 hours CAT. It's great to have you with us today for another session of the Leadership Platform. I believe most of you who are joining us haven't signed in onto the platform in the sense that we don't see you announcing yourself either on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, where we are airing this program. Today is another day for us to learn, and I will be your hostess for today because Uncle Sam is away attending to some important meetings, but he's in the background listening to us. And he may join us if the internet connection works very well. So go ahead and sign in. Let us know where you are joining us from. I am Sarah Jessie Apia, joining you from Geneva, Switzerland. Let's see, who do we have here? We have Kweku Dafoe joining us from Tema, and he is saying, "Good evening, dear all. Happy to be here, and I am from Tema." Yes, great. And our speaker is here already, so please sign in. Give her a warm welcome by announcing where you are joining us from and what you are looking forward to learning from her. You saw the topic, very interesting topic, that is overcoming stress and burnout, lessons for and from women in leadership. But before we give the floor to her, or I call her to come onto the call, what I would like what I would like you to know is that our leadership platform and CTL is still running the 15 laws of growth. We have two cohorts running concurrently, and there's still room for people to sign up. So look at the CTL website and the links and sign up. And then we have the laws of leadership also taking place. These are the next level after the leadership platform for you to dive deeper and grow your leadership journey. Miriam, we see you. You are here. You say, "Good evening. This is Miriam from Accra." Yes, indeed, another day of insightful engagements. So, whilst others sign in, I will invite our leader today, a wonderful lady who is dear to my heart. She's like a sister, to come onto the show, and let's see who she is, where she has been, how she grew up, and how her journey has been up till now, and what she's going to share with us. So, Catherine, if you're there, welcome once again to the Leadership Platform. I believe this is the second time you're coming onto the Leadership Platform, and we feel honored and privileged that you come back again. So, good evening, Catherine.
Thank you, Sarah Jessie. Thank you for the warm welcome.
Great. So, who is Catherine? I know
Oh,
some of us already have met you, but there are new people in the community, and therefore they would like to know who you are. Where were you born? Where did you
okay.
school?
All right. Okay, so I'll tell you, I was born in Cape Coast Hospital, and
Okay.
I lived in Cape Coast until I was around 7 years old. And then
Mm-hmm.
from there, my parents moved to Legon, so we moved to Accra. And when I went to Achimota school, so I went to Achimota school, yes, for up until I was Form 3, and then I was shipped off to England. And I
Uh-huh.
returned to Ghana in 2009 when my father passed away. So
Oh,
that's where I grew up,
okay. Yeah.
and I'm a corporate governance professional by
Mm-hmm.
training. And having gone through a lot of leadership development programs when I was in the UK, arriving in Ghana, I realized that there was a market for executive coaching because we didn't have many executive coaches around. And
Mm-hmm.
doing work in the boardroom, realized that if I couldn't coach, I wouldn't be able to lead. So I certified as a coach in 2014. And I've
Uh-huh.
been on this amazing journey because I realized that actually that is what I really love doing. I love helping people just get to a higher level of awareness. And I've had to go through my own transformation, Sarah Jesse, in order to get there because I truly believe that you can't lead people to a higher level of transformation than you have been through yourself. So, as I say, the work is always happening with me. And so I'm a personal development junkie, as one of my friends refers to, but it's all for me about growth. And that's
Excellent.
me. Yes, that's
Excellent.
me.
Thank you. So we can see that this is somebody who is walking the talk, right? Yeah,
And I'm not
walking the talk.
perfect, but I'm going to add, I am not perfect. So
I
because
know, we know. We are
sometimes,
all not perfect. We are learning from each other. And as I have known you on different fora, I have really seen you in the States. I've seen you in Ghana. I've seen you on the Pan African platform. So, where are some of the places that you have been doing this work of coaching?
okay, so actually, I coach internationally, US, UK, Ghana. I haven't yet entered Nigeria. So when I get there, then I'll know I'm truly international. And also in South Africa. So my clients have come from South Africa, UK, US, and Ghana. So really,
Okay.
really, really blessed. Yeah. And Canada.
Awesome, awesome, great. So we are looking to see what you can bring to our continent of
Yes.
Africa, apart from Ghana and South Africa. So let's
Yes,
hope
indeed.
that this aspiration of yours to enter into Nigeria, people are on the call. They may know other people who may even need your services. So that
Yes.
is one of the ways that you can expose and also offer your services on the leadership platform. So, right now, without further ado, can
Okay.
I ask you to share with us what the menu, the nice menu that you have prepared? We are all ears. So the
Okay, Sarah
space is
Jesse.
here. Thank you.
Do I will share my slides, and then
Perfect.
when they're on, you will let me know where the slides are. Excellent. I believe you can all see my slides. So good evening or hello from wherever you're calling, because it may be morning for some of you if you're calling in from a different side of the world. As mentioned earlier, my name is Catherine Engman, and I'm a leadership coach and a corporate governance professional. And today, I'm going to share with you my lessons on overcoming stress and burnout. And through that, I'm going to actually share my story and the lessons I've learned. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm still work in progress, not perfect, but so far, these are the lessons I've learned. And I'll tell you what, I keep learning lessons every single day. So it was the 14th of April, 2001. And I'd woken up with one of my usual headaches. But on this day, it didn't feel like it was normal. I felt very disoriented, and my speech was slurring. I went through my usual morning routines of praying, meditating, journaling, but I wasn't doing them with any joy. Everything was a chore. So at 8 o'clock, I jumped onto a call with my accountability partner, who at the time we used to speak every single day. And she took one look at me and she said, Catherine, you need to get to a hospital right now. You don't sound good. And I was like, oh no, I can't. I have board meetings to go to. I said in a slurring voice, I have so much to do. I can't afford to go to hospital. And she says, well, you actually need to stop and take time off. You need to take 2 weeks off at least. I said, no, I can't afford to. But about within 30 minutes of hanging up on that call, I noticed that the pain in my head was getting more and more intense. And my arms suddenly started getting, it's like pins and needles and numb feeling in my arms. I just felt like I couldn't go on any longer. So in that moment, I picked up the phone and called my client whose board meeting I was attending. It's a company that I was a director of, and I told him in a very slurred voice, I can't come to the board meeting today. Meaning, I can't make the board meeting today. Please excuse me, I'm sending my apologies. He didn't like the way I sounded, and within a few minutes, he called my PA. Thankfully, at the time, we were working from home, and she was in my house, and I was doing all of this from my bedroom, and he called my assistant, and he told her, get Catherine to the hospital immediately. So my PA came into my bedroom and insisted that I go with her to the hospital. And in that moment, I said, no, I don't want to go to the hospital, because in my mind, I absolutely hate hospitals. And I think that anybody that goes to the hospital, I've known, that comes out dead, right? And she insisted. So I was bundled into the car. We got to the hospital, and after some tests, it was discovered that I'd actually had a mild stroke. And it was early intervention that had saved my life. So as I was sitting in the chair, and this is a photograph of some tests that were being run on the slide. As I was sitting in that chair, knowing that all of this was going wrong, I suddenly felt really reflective. And in that moment, I started to pray that God would actually save me from this ordeal. So anyway, I was diagnosed, and early intervention saved my life, which is great news. But at the time, I remember thinking, here I am at 50, and I've had a mild stroke. What is going on with my life? And then I went into victimhood, because I started blaming everybody around me. I started blaming my business partners for putting too much pressure on me, started blaming my clients for always wanting things. And everything was like, if only people would not do this, then I wouldn't be in this situation. And if only. And how many of you have had moments where you get into a situation and suddenly it's if only. Everyone else is to blame but yourself. And then I said to myself, but you're a coach, Catherine. You should know better. And that was when the realization dawned on me that, yes, I should know better. So I stopped and I asked myself a few questions. And I asked myself, where did my responsibility lie in this? Because it's not people that were responsible for what I'd gone through. The solution lay with me. And so after some reflection and getting out of victimhood, right, I really did some deep introspection, and I realized one of the things that had been absolutely guilty of was the fact that I was only sleeping 3 to 4 hours a night. I'd actually become an insomniac, and for a period of about 18 months, I really wasn't sleeping. Sometimes I could actually go 48 hours without any sleep. And that was causing my mind to be weak, because my mind could not be controlled any longer because my body wasn't strong. The next thing was, as you'll see in the previous picture, I'd lost a lot of weight. And what was happening was that I also wasn't eating. There was a lack of good nutrition, and I wasn't making any time to actually cook and eat healthy meals. My favorite meal was actually roast plantain and groundnuts. That was what I was eating every day. I mean, how nutritious is that? Yes, I love roast plantain and groundnuts, but it's not the most nutritious meal to have every single day. And as I said, I was only sleeping 3 to 4 hours a night, if that. And so what I was doing was I was sitting at my desk all day long and not moving, not having any exercise. And I was guilty of being a chronic people pleaser. If anyone needed anything, I would always say yes. I would say yes to others before saying no to myself. And because my mind was so weak, and my mind was weak, my body was weak, I was also having negative thoughts about myself. I was being very, very judgmental about myself. And there were moments actually leading up to that stroke. I had thoughts of suicide. And the negative thoughts I was having about myself were because my mind could not be controlled. And as much as I was praying and meditating, I was doing them in that season. It didn't feel as though it was coming from my heart because, again, I was so weak. And so with all these negative thoughts that I was having about myself, I truly believe that this situation happened to me. Didn't happen to me, it actually happened for me. It happened so that I would wake up and realize that I needed to do something. Because if I hadn't gone into that ditch, and we've all had moments where we've gone into ditches, right? It's getting out that can be difficult. I wouldn't have gotten into that ditch if I didn't have, sorry, let me go back. I wouldn't have gotten into that ditch. I wouldn't have got if I didn't have those negative thoughts about myself, because I truly believe that there's a strong mind and body connection. And so in order for me to learn a lesson, I had to go through that situation where I got so sick that I started to know that I really matter and that health is more important than anything else. So what I discovered is that the foundation to overcoming stress and burnout is drum roll, 7 to 8 hours sleep a night. Without adequate sleep, honestly, our bodies and minds are so weak because a lack of sleep affects our cognitive functions, our cognitive meaning our brain functions. And also, I do believe that sleep makes you sounder spiritually. And it was Arianna Huffington who actually said that, ladies, sleep your way to the top. And what she meant was get enough sleep, because she also talks about her burnout story. I also believe that foundational is a balanced diet and nutrition, because if you're not fueling your body cannot perform. Our body is a really precious vehicle. Just like we wouldn't put bad fuel into our cars, we shouldn't be putting bad fuel into our bodies. And I really learned that lesson the very painful way about the importance of a balanced diet and nutrition. Exercise was also something that I hadn't been consistent with. And I would say that sweating for about 30 minutes a day, it's really important for us, particularly as women and men, because the exercise actually makes us feel good. Once we exercise, you get all the feel-good hormones, you get the endorphins running around, and it actually makes you feel better. And exercise also wards off disease. Just doing sweating for 30 minutes a day helps you ward off disease. And we now know that sitting for long hours is the new smoking. Basically, it's the same as it's what causes cancers, right? Just like in the old days, smoking used to cause cancer. Now sitting is the new, is heightens cancer. I put here, sitting is the new cancer. I'm sure you know what I mean about that. And foundational as well to overcoming stress and burnout is not allowing your thoughts to bully your body. I'm a type A. A type A person is someone who's really driven, always on the go. Everything has got to be perfect. And so if things did not turn out perfect, and there's no such thing as perfect, right? There's no such thing as perfect. We should be striving for excellence. But if things were not perfect, then suddenly the thoughts would run around in my head. Oh, Catherine, you're so useless. You're not good enough. You can't do things well enough. Oh, you've made a mistake again. This thing hasn't happened. And even if things were not my fault, I would always take on the blame on myself. So I realize that managing our thoughts around events and situations was also important in overcoming burnout and stress, lessening it. And I recall 6 months even before my stroke, period of about 6 months before that, I was actually waking up in tears every single day. And I was going to bed in tears because I wasn't able to manage my thoughts. And I don't know if anyone has ever had moments where in their lives, well, certainly here I was going through, I knew that playing music, moving my body helps manage my stress and my thoughts. But even doing those things was not working because I had allowed my thoughts to run away on their own. They were a loose train, a runaway train, just going to nowhere. So those are the lessons that I learned in the foundation, being foundational to overcoming burnout and stress, because burnout and stress is real. When you have no energy to do anything and when everything becomes a chore, and when your thoughts are so badly affected because of a lack of sleep and stress and overwhelm. So summarizing it here, healthy habits, so important. If one is overweight, even just losing 10% of our weight can really be beneficial. And having a healthy body is really a healthy life. Cutting down on sugar, working out, not allowing the mind to bully a body. I can't emphasize that enough. These are so foundational to overcoming burnout. But here's what I say is that I'm talking a lot about overcoming burnout. Let's actually prevent burnout, because to overcome burnout, I actually had to take 6 months of work doing nothing, 6 months for doing nothing in order to even get back to zero. And so I would encourage everyone to even avoid burnout, let alone overcome it. And so a question that I would like to ask you on this call, on this webinar is, just think about it. And ask yourself this question. If I were to take 5% more responsibility for my physical well-being, I would, ... And I'd like to hear what you have to say in the comments about that. Just 5% more responsibility for my physical well-being. And I was talking to Sam earlier before the session started, Uncle Sam, and I was telling Uncle Sam that I've done a lot of work on myself in overcoming stress and burnout in my life. And to be honest, I feel at this moment in my life, I'm truly living my dream life. I went from working 80 to 100 hours a week to really only working 12. But I can feel myself starting to take on more and more because I'm so much better now and I'm healthier and I'm stronger. I'm starting to feel myself slip back into the old habits that took me to my lowest point. And so if I were to answer this question today, I would say if I were to take 5% more responsibility for my physical well-being, I would switch off my phone and my computer at 9 p.m. every single night without fail. It's so difficult to do, but that's what I would do. And if I were to take 5% more responsibility for my physical well-being, I would make sure that I am in bed at least at 11 p.m. every single night. And if I were to take 5% more responsibility for my physical well being, I would wake up at 5 a.m. every single day and exercise for 30 minutes and have my read something inspirational for 30 minutes and have my quiet time with God. That's for me. If I were to take 5% more responsibility for my physical well being. So I'm going to invite you to ask yourselves the same question. If you were to take just 5% more responsibility for your physical well being, what would you do? And I'd love to hear your comments in the chat. One thing I'd like to remind people is just we need to normalize our physical wellness. It's so important because in order to overcome burnout, trust me, what you have to go through, let's avoid it. So prioritize your physical wellness, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not get burnt out. Let's get to a stage where we're avoiding that burnout stage. It's so important. It's not selfish because people often think that if we put ourselves first, it's selfish. No, think of it as self-interest because if you are not well, you cannot positively impact your family, your friends, the society that you live in. So you need to take time for you. And what I'd like to leave you with is that do remember that your body is an important vehicle. And without that, you can't be an effective leader. So your body is an important vehicle for your leadership. It's without that, without looking, I can't emphasize it enough, without looking after your body, you cannot be an effective leader. You cannot impact people positively. And it's so important to remember to choose your battles. It's not everything. And for me, I always wanted to make sure everything was perfect and control every single situation. But here's the thing, we can't control everything. Choose your battles, choose what's important. If it's not life or death, let it go. Get yourself a success team. Remember, I said earlier that we need to choose our battles. We can't do everything ourselves. Delegate as much as you can. You know, ladies, our work is we need to get work done in the house, getting work done in the office. You know what? That's what we earn money for. If you can afford it, get yourself a success team, get yourself a cleaner, get yourself a housekeeper. If you need to get someone to help you cook in the house so that you can take time out for yourself and be an even better leader and be a better person for your family, for your community, and for your workplace. Also check your environment. And when I say checking your environment, I don't just mean your physical environment. In fact, one thing, make sure that your environment is also clutter-free because having a cluttered environment also adds to your stress. It creates cognitive overload. And so even having clear spaces and making sure that your environment is pleasant actually helps in managing your stress and burnout. But checking your environment in terms of the people that you hang around with, the things that you feed your mind with, social media feeds, your friends, the WhatsApp groups, are they affirming? Are they positive? And get rid of toxic people because it's been shown that we are the average of the 5%, at the average of the 5 people we hang around with the most. If you hang around with toxic people, you're going to imbibe toxic thoughts. And so I actually go through an exercise every year. I list all the people in my life and I put a plus or minus. Are these people draining me or are they building me? Are people draining me or are they building me? And if people are draining me, I put a minus beside it, beside their names, and I set goals of spending less and less time with them. Because draining people can also affect your mental well-being. And also make sure you love the occupation, because I know that it's a lot of us work because we have to. But being able to also live your purpose in your occupation is also really, really important in managing your stress and your burnout. Because when you're doing work that is draining, that's all I can say. I call it draining work, where work that actually, where the energy leaves your body rather than strengthens you, you're more likely to get burned out. And re-emphasizing this, managing your thoughts and your emotions, because you can control, remember, you can control your thoughts, or you can control your emotions. You can control your responses to events and situations. That's the only thing we have power over. And I think it was Viktor Frankl, or someone did say that between stimulus and response, there is a space, and therein lies the space to choose our response, and there lies our power. So, our power is in being able to manage our thoughts around situations and our emotions around situations. And because, as the example I gave earlier, I was in victimhood, blaming everyone for things that were happening around me rather than owning it. And getting enough sleep. I can't emphasize this enough. I think you've got the point. And the last point I've got to say here is, please do not allow yourself to become burned out, because the only cure, the real cure to burnout, absolute burnout, if you have it, is actually it's a point where you really cannot do anything. You actually have to take time off work. So these are my tips in helping you live a more fulfilling and joyful life. And I've applied them. I've been applying these to my life, and I have to say that I'm in such a better space now in 2023 than I was in 2021. Yet I do know that I still have to be intentional about certain things, because I'm slipping back into old habits. Because I feel really well at the moment, I'm starting to take on more and more stuff. And so, as I teach this to you on this webinar today, I'm also reminding myself that I need to do certain things as well to avoid getting back to where I was. I hope you find this useful, and let me know in the comments below. And I will stop sharing my screen. How do I do that is the question. Let's see. There we go. Here we go. Sarah Jessie, I'm done. Thank you so much. And thank you all for watching. I'll wait for Sarah Jessie to come back, but in the meantime, I will. Yeah, Victoria. Okay, so I'm going to read through some comments. Hi, Victoria. Hi, Henry. Okay, Victoria. Thank you for relating to that. Thank you so much. It's so true. And yes, taking a walk for 30 minutes every single day, gosh, it helps your mind. And drinking 4 liters of water at least every day. Yeah. Oh yes. Worry less, smile more. It's so difficult to do, eh? It's easy. It's simple to say, but so difficult to do. And thank you. Is it Lakwe? Thank you. So grateful to you too. And Thomas. Yeah. Oh, bless you. Telling you how the thoughts are stressing your body. It's real, right? The struggle is real. I get it. I get it. And Olivia. Thank you, Olivia. Yes. Sleep, sleep, sleep. And remember what Ariana Huffington said, sleep your way to the top. It's critical. Thank you. Sarah
Great.
Jessie, back to you.
Wonderful, Catherine. That is awesome. And we are having a little bit of technical challenge, and I can see you have read through the comments. That is very affirming from our audience. And I can see Liziane say, "Hey, Coach Catherine, great joining in, even though I'm late." Yes, you are late, but we are not done yet. Catherine, if you have any questions, please start sending your comments, your questions up so Lady Catherine will be able to help us how she has walked this journey.
And
Right, right.
Liziane, I was going to say to Liziane that you're not late, you're right on time.
Great. So let's see. Victoria is saying the whole water therapy was recommended for me, and I'm still doing that. It has actually helped me. Great. Thank you, Victoria, for this talk. This what do you call it? This comment and also advice. And Olivia Okine says, "Oh wow, sleeping one's way to the top." Yes, 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 yes.
And it wasn't me. I borrowed that from Ariana Huffington, but I love it. I just love that expression.
Yeah. And
And the men can do that too.
Lisiane is saying she's been doing a lot of self-love. Okay,
Yeah.
so loving ourselves first, putting the
Loving
oxygen
ourselves.
mask. Yeah,
Yes, that's it.
yeah.
That's it.
Awesome, awesome. So, Catherine, whilst we wait for the others to come up with their questions,
Mm,
I have a few that I would like you to give some clarification to. You did mention to sleep 7 to 8 hours a day. Some of us are not able to do so. To sleep. So, are you advising that we break that into chunks? Or what has been your experience or, I mean, recommendation that you have had about
okay.
the sleep? And also, we have different body, they call it a circadian, what do you call it? Rhythm. How does that play into the sleep? That is question number one. And also, I can see you broke it down into three parts: the spiritual, the
Mm,
physical, and then the mental,
mm,
right? So when it comes to spiritual, what was it that you did that helped you to really work through this period in your life? And
mm,
then I'm
mm.
giving you all the
Sorry, just
questions.
yes, I'm gonna have to get my pencil case out and write the questions down.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Spiritual.
Yeah.
So, okay, answer these two:
Okay.
the circadian
Right.
body, and then also
Sure.
the spiritual one. And then we can go into the physical as well as the mental.
Okay. Thank you for these great questions, Sarah Jesse. And let's look at the sleep and the circadian stuff and ask ourselves, for one thing, why is it that one can't sleep 7 to 8 hours a night? Is it that they won't or they choose not to? Is it because of time? Is it that they just can't? So that's the question that I'll ask, because that also depends on the answer that I will give. So if it's that one's body, just one goes to bed and 4 hours they're up and awake, then I would say that, okay, getting two lots of 4 hours is better than nothing. Okay. And Maggie Thatcher used to only sleep 4 hours a night. And she's not a great example to follow because later on in life, she got Alzheimer's, right?
Mm-hmm.
She
Mm-hmm.
always used to have a nap in the afternoon, and that really refreshed her. And a lot of people recommend having that power nap in the afternoons. And there was a point in my company, actually, I introduced afternoon naps after lunch, so 40 to 50 minutes, people could have a nap. And that can be so refreshing. So maybe even sleeping 4 to 2 blocks is better than nothing, or even having those power naps and sleeping for us is better than not having than nothing. But here's the thing: science has shown that even the brain cells clean themselves when we sleep. And I read somewhere that, and it's only after, I think it's about 4 or 5 hours, that the liquids start forming in the brain that self clean the brain. So if we're not getting a set amount of sleep, then the brain is not going through that cleaning mechanism. And then that can probably affect our cognitive functions later on in life, which I find
Mhm.
absolutely fascinating. So if it's that one is choosing not to sleep 7 to 8 hours, then I'd say, please choose, because you'll regret it one day later on in life. If it's that it's just impossible to, then do attempt to break it up. I hope
Okay.
that's helped.
Yes. Beautiful. Thank you. And the spiritual question.
Oh, yes. And the spiritual stuff. You see, Sarah Jessie, what I find, and truthfully, what I found was that because I wasn't sleeping right well enough, when I woke up, I felt heavy and exhausted. So I'd open my Bible and just go, la, la, la. Music, I'd have the Christian, my gospel music playing, and it was still empty. So after the mild stroke, knowing because I had this time off and I was able to sleep more, what I started doing was that, I'll be honest, it was really difficult to pray. But what I found was that listening to music, right, and praying along or singing along to the music was my form of prayer. And then from there, I started. I don't know what was wrong with me. No, it wasn't wrong. I was right. I was absolutely perfect. Let me remind myself of that. And then after that, I started writing my prayers out and my thoughts in a journal. And I found that that was also really, really helpful because, sometimes there's so many things going around the head. And I found that when I wrote my prayers out, it was much more effective. So that was how I helped my spiritual. And now I make sure that without fail, I do have my 30 minutes of quiet time every day and I'm praying. And then I also put in meditation. Meditation is a form of spiritual. So I pray to God and then afterwards I sit in silence and I wait for God to speak to me.
Okay,
And
wonderful. Thank you. And I mean, what also really struck me was the fact that after this episode, you had a time of reflection, right? And this time of reflection, definitely you were using your journal. You're using
yeah,
your journal. During that reflection, that's when you were able to give all these categories, saying, okay, I need to sleep. That you did an inventory, right? So, an exercise of inventory that we do for the physical part, for the mental part, and also for the spiritual part. What you did say about the spiritual part is that you started writing even
yes,
your prayers. So
yes,
that was part of the way that
yes,
mentally you were downloading, right? So that was part of the mental, okay.
yes,
And when you were
yes.
doing all this, were you using a coach? Were you using a counselor? What support
Thank
did you
you.
get?
Oh, actually, Sarah Jessie, thank you so much. I actually had got sought therapy. So I had a
Okay,
therapist. Let me be very,
okay.
yes, I have to disclose. I actually had, because I mentioned earlier that I actually had thoughts of suicide earlier on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so when this situation happened and the doctors actually disclosed that I was burnout, basically I also had depression. Having a therapist really helped me. I had
Mm-hmm.
been using a coach as well up until then, so I was also getting coaching, and
Mm-hmm.
so I had a therapist, and then the therapist was helping me deal with those things, and then the coach was helping me look forward. So yes, I did have both of those things. I will disclose. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. This is really key for us because most of us, especially coming from our part of the world, when we have mental challenges, we feel ashamed or, yeah, there's shame attached to this sort of, even here in the Western world,
Mm.
people don't feel that they should go for such help. So,
Yeah.
what Catherine is saying is that it's all right to ask for help and to
Yeah.
seek out for help is really, really key. And this is what all of us have been experiencing during the COVID period, where we have had mental health issues. So there are a lot of professionals out there. And definitely, if you have a list, we can post it on the CTL
Sure.
website so that people will be able to access this mental health. What do you call it? Mental health.
Yeah,
Health
resources, yes. But
resources.
Sarah Jessie, I'm going to add something, right? Because I'm a Christian. When I first started having these things going on in my head, I approached my Christian friends or my friends, and I'd say, look, this is the issue that I'm, like, I feel like this, I feel like this, I feel like this. And people are like, but Catherine, you are so blessed. You've got everything going for you. Why are you feeling like this? Clearly, you're not praying enough. And then there were these judgments from me that, oh, you're not being Christian enough. Because if you were Christian, you wouldn't be thinking like this. This wouldn't be happening. I was like, oh my gosh. So then I started speaking to my non-Christian friends, right? My friends that are spiritual, but then they say they're not Christian. And that was where I got the real help from, because that was where I got the support. I didn't get the judgment. And that's the thing, is that sometimes we infuse this religion and think that a Christian should not go through these things, but we do. And until we acknowledge that and know that it's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great. So leaders, I mean, we should, anywhere that we can get the help from, we should be able to really, not just in our circles, but even go beyond and seek that help. Thank you for
Yeah.
being so vulnerable. I'm just going to look through the comments
Oh, I
to
see
see.
Yaira is here. Yaira, hello. I know Yaira. Hello, hello.
So I can see Isinam saying self-love is my take home. Okay, thank you, Isinam. And Senior Management 03, I don't know who that is,
I
says
think that's
thanks
Yaira.
for this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, Catherine, great. Olivia says, great. I'll look for Ariana Huffington's many thanks. And she found it. So the link is in there. Sleep your way to the top. You can find the quotation over there. Thank you, Olivia. And then Senior Management 03 says, I love this, Catherine. Need to do need to do make so many changes. I need to make so many changes immediately. Okay. And see, oh, I think senior management is our top commentator for today. Even saying, oh, I love
Yay.
this, Catherine. I need to make changes immediately. Okay, Yaira. Okay. And Liziane, there is a difference between spirituality and Christianity. Thank you for that, Liziane. And hi, senior management again, and Liziane. And I think we need more spiritual Christians. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
Right, Kathy,
Yes,
great
yeah.
hearing your story. So let's see what takeaways you have. I think we will today. We'll finish early if we don't have any comments that are coming. So, Catherine, as I wait for other comments, maybe I'll ask you to give us your closing remarks as to for
Hmm.
today, since that you have shared with us. It's been
Okay.
really, really great.
So, what I'll say in closing is that don't strive for perfection, just strive for incremental changes, because we
Mhm.
can't do it all overnight. And so, if you notice that, if you ask yourself the 5% more responsibility question, just use that to make incremental changes, because it's by through making micro incremental changes that the big change happens. So you don't have to start, for example, don't say, okay, now I need to sleep 8 hours a night. Okay, just start with an extra 30 minutes and then build up. Or even,
Mhm.
and you know what I also found about the exercise thing? In my head, I always thought that to myself, well, I must exercise for 30 minutes a day. So if I didn't have the 30 minutes, I will not exercise. Look, now I say to myself, I must exercise at just 5 minutes a day. And then I just, even if I've got 5 minutes, I do some exercise, right? So think of things in incrementally. And then know that it's all a process, right? And life is a journey. And just remember that you are absolutely perfect and fine where you are. Just have the awareness that you might just need to do better. So don't beat yourself up for not being where you should be. You're exactly fine where you are.
Excellent. I love that and the incremental. So
Yeah.
viewers, Catherine has shared with us her way of how she has slept her way to the top.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? That would be so tweetable.
Because actually I mean she was minus zero, and
Yeah.
now look at where she is. two
Yeah.
years down the line she has slept her way to the top. So my
Yeah.
takeaway is sleep, sleep, sleep,
Yes.
incremental changes.
Yeah.
You cannot make 1 hour changes, just make 5 minutes changes until you are able to get to the 1 hour. So, Catherine, thank you. And as Uncle Sam will say, tomorrow is Sunday. So please go to church. And Lizanne is telling us that it shouldn't be just Christianity, it should be spiritual Christianity. So until next week, that we come to you with another episode of the Leadership Platform, we are signing off saying a big thank you to Catherine and to all of you who have joined us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We'll be posting this on the platform of the Leadership Platform. So, Liziane, you joined us late. You can always
Did it.
listen in to all the great lessons that Catherine shared with us, as well as access the slides. So, good night and see you next Saturday.
Thank
Bye
you all.
bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Catherine, meet us at the end. Okay,
Yes,
don't go
ma'am.
away. Thank you.
Okay.